Hello, good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? I hope everyone is doing well. This is definitely. Hello, good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? I know this is all. Every time, this is how it goes. But this is how I have my setup here. Welcome. I hope everyone had a really good week. And for those who were fathers and celebrated Father's Day, happy Father's Day. It was in North America, it was this past Sunday. So I hope you had a great weekend and some sort of celebration if that was something that was for you. I have a really exciting live today, and I don't know how many people I will have live, but I hope that some of you are able to catch this later, especially if you are a student. I do have some nuggets that I got from a dear friend who we did our PhD together, same big project, but very different areas. I did qualitative research, she did clinical research, and we were really fortunate enough, really blessed to get the same award. So the Vanier, the big award for PhD students in Canada, we got it in the same year, and we were able to celebrate it together and go through our PhDs with that in as something that we both had, and it was really good. So the difference between my experience and hers, and I told her that I was going to be talking a lot about her today, is that she was successful in her second submission. And the reason why I actually wanted to bring her up today is because we are closing, so wrapping up the series about proposal writing. And the blog posts are all up now. The last one went up yesterday, and it was about the 3D elements in reviewing qualitative research proposals. It's based on a paper that was published in Qualitative Health Research a few years ago, and it talks about relevance, rigor, and feasibility. We already covered relevance and rigor in the previous weeks and previous posts. We talked about relevance, I would say, in a more extensive way in the post where we talked about writing a lit review for a proposal. We also covered in the methods aspects that are important about rigor in qualitative research. And the last one is feasibility. Excuse me. Last one is feasibility. And feasibility is something that is really interesting now because of the context that we are all living in with COVID-19. And it's definitely something that I think will be changing and evolving as the pandemic and the situation evolves, with different countries and universities opening up or closing or remaining closed and limiting research activities for the next little while. Very important to consider and address that in a proposal that is being submitted this year and possibly for the next year or couple of years. So I talk about that there, have some interesting sites. However, for today, I really wanted to bring you with the fresh insights that I got from my friend Leticia about writing, repurposing, reusing a proposal that you have submitted and wasn't successful. This applies to students and also to academics who have submitted a grant that weren't successful for 1 year, but then are trying to reuse and repurpose for the next year or for another competition. Most grants, so for the academics, I know that you will probably have reviewer comments that can help you enhance and strengthen your proposal for a following year and for a following competition or a competition in another area or another funding agency, I should say, not another area, but put out by another funding agency. And it helps a lot to really go through those comments, see what reviewers have said, what they have addressed and identified in terms of things that weren't properly covered or that they felt were not strong enough in your original application. And when I was talking to Leticia, so Leticia submitted her big proposal, so the Vanier proposal in 2014, and she was ranked at 66. So if anyone who was 50 and lower, they got the award. So she was shortlisted because she was close, but she didn't get the award in 2014. Then for that year, for graduate students, it's very rare that you will actually have those written comments that academics would get when they submit a grant. We usually get scores, and not even that, depending on where you're submitting and where you are. But if you have that opportunity to get the scores that you received in your application, and most times applications will have scores related to the reference letter, the proposal, the CV, or the GPA, and you will know which areas that you actually had stronger scores versus scores that were weaker. And when it comes to awards, it's really unfortunate to say this, but the 0.3 that you lose in one of the areas can make the difference, can be really the edge, the cutting edge that you might have. You might lose it or win it based on that fraction of a score. And the three things that Leticia shared with me were this. I'm going to follow exactly how she provided me with feedback. The first thing was, don't give up and persevere. For the following year, in 2015, actually, I said the years wrong. We won it in 2015. So for the following year, when she was preparing the award for submission, she really had to persevere and to push, even among her own committee members and people who were reviewing her proposal. Some really discouraged her from trying again because, it takes time to put a good proposal together, and you have to consider if it's worth the investment, especially if you already have a scholarship that might be providing you with some sort of funding. And she also had to almost go and it's really swim against the current, because even internally, the university didn't move her application forward for the national competition. And she had to really go and tell them my application was really well ranked last year, and I have made changes, I have made it stronger, and I do believe that I have a real chance here. And it was after she actually contacted them that she got her second chance. And look at what happened. She got it. So she was successful. She was one of the 10 people in health sciences at the University of Alberta in that year that got the scholarship. So the first thing that she wanted me to share with the QualiQ audience was, don't give up, be persistent, and know that you get better as you do it more frequently and more often. So the more you submit, the better you get at it. And I 100% agree with her. She's not the only person I know. I actually know someone else in the same university who had the same experience of getting the Vanier the second year. So it goes without saying that you really can't give up or think that you won't get it because you had that first year or first try not be successful. So that was the first thing that she wanted me to share with you. The second aspect is very important for everyone, students, academics, no matter where you are. And I think it is very easy to forget this. So pay attention to what I'm going to say when it comes to the second point. When you have the guidelines for a proposal or for a grant, read them carefully. Read the words. Really pay attention to what they are saying they are looking for. What is the goal, or what are the types of proposals or studies that they are really trying to invest in, to give money to. So read, use those words in your proposal if possible. You might not be able to use them in your, of course, proposal, like your lit review, your methods, expected outcomes. But if you have a leadership letter, if you have other aspects or other components of that proposal that you need to be submitting, those might be the places where you will be talking about things that are really answering the call for submission. Beyond that, and I think this is something that I have learned with some really experienced and very successful people, is to go and look at the reviewer criteria. So reviewers, so the panel of reviewers for an agency will have most, like I would say 90% or even more of the times, they will have a table or criteria that they will use to judge the proposals that they are going to be reviewing. In general, those are made available and can easily be found wherever you're finding other information about a competition. And when you find that, you also will be paying attention to that and thinking, is my proposal at a really high level and high quality for all the areas that the reviewer will be judging me and will be looking for when they are reading my proposal? And that goes for students or academics. The reason why I am saying that, and this might not be news to you, or you might not be hearing this for the first time, you might already have done this, or it's common practice for you, but I want to really remind you of that, because this is where sometimes we leave it for the last minute and you end up not taking full advantage of that piece of information. And that piece of information can be really valuable. And for me, I will say that the areas that I usually try to make sure that I include things that are responding to what they are looking for are in my leadership letter, if that is something that is important and needs to be submitted. When a CV is submitted, that's another place where you can really make sure that you're including pieces that reviewers will be looking for. And even in how you are presenting your CV, your list of publications. This is where I encourage you to go and find people in your circles, so in your areas, in your universities, people who have submitted applications to the same agencies and try to get the same awards you're trying to get, or the same grants you try to get, and learn from them. If you can, if they are kind, shouldn't even say kind. Most people do it if they are open to collaboration. Some people will say no, but I always say that I had someone who was successful before me and kind enough to share her application with me. And you know what? Our areas were completely different. I didn't use a single line she used, but I learned so much about how she presented each piece of her work. So where she put her poster presentations versus publications, and also how she talked about her successes and what she had done that made her an excellent candidate for something. So if you have that opportunity, don't be shy. On the other hand, I think it shows a lot about your grit and how you're really trying your best to get something and to be successful if you're trying to learn from others. It's not a sign of, in any shape or form, of weakness or not knowing where to go. I think it's really one additional step you're taking to make sure that you are at the same level that person was when they won or they got something that you really are trying to get. So don't be embarrassed about asking for help and asking for an example for you to take a look. And when you do that, pay attention to those things. What in that application and where things went that really kind of like perfectly aligned or as perfect as possible aligned with what the reviewers will be looking for when they are judging and adjudicating proposals. So that wraps up point number 2 that she shared with me. And the last one is really about investing in an editor. And the reason why, and she actually didn't use the word investing, but I am using that word. Good editors in North America and in Canada and the US, they can cost up to $100 an hour. And I would still encourage you to consider that and to see that as an investment. There have been competitions within universities that the Research Services Office will provide that and will do that. It's part of their mandate. They want researchers within their universities to be successful, so they will provide the review of the grants, look at references, look at the flow, the writing, grammar, typos, like all those things that sometimes when you're writing something for very long and you have been copying and pasting from different documents, you might miss that. But that person with experience in editing and a fresh pair of eyes looking at your proposal will certainly be able to flag things that you have been missing maybe for even like months as you're working on something. So if the service is for free and you can get it for free, don't miss the opportunity of having that. Like, get things ready in time for you to use that service. If it's not free and you're paying for someone to do that, I still highly recommend considering that. And the reason why I say it's an investment, it's return on investment, right? If you're spending maybe a few $100s, or depending on how lengthy it is, it could be more than that. But then you're getting money that will support you for the next 3 or 4 years, or support your whole project for 3 or 4 years. It is really an investment, and you need to really be strategic and know when it's worth getting money that you might feel like you really don't have at this point and invest in something. And the thing that I always say, like for one of the proposals that I was successful, I had university offer the service for free, but there have been other times where I paid out of pocket. And you might be thinking, yes, it's a return on investment if I get the award, or if my grant is successful. But if it's not, then there it goes. Like, I just spent $1,000 that I didn't have, and now I don't have the money to even support me for the next few years. Remember how we started this live today. Remember that it's a lot related to using, reusing, repurposing. So if you spend that money and you don't get the award, you're probably going to be able to reuse this, reuse the proposal, reuse the grant, reuse parts of it for something else. And you can be sure that the quality of that will be greater and your chances will be higher. So you're not losing the money. You're not losing that investment. And I truly believe this. And I wouldn't be telling you this if I hadn't seen so many times again and again. So if it's available for free, use it, plan in advance, give yourself enough time to take whatever feedback you get and work on the aspects that the reviewer or the editor will tell you. But if it's not available for free, really be mindful of the fact that this is your investment. This is what you need to carry on your work with more freedom, with more resources, with people who really can support you. And it makes a world of difference. Like the funding for research makes a big difference. We all know that. And if you have been in academia for long, I know I'm preaching to the choir. You probably have even more experience than I have. But if you're new to academia as a student who is starting a qualitative project or any project, at some point, and you might have realized already that funding makes a huge difference in the overall experience. Um, it helps with resources for data collection, analysis, publication, since open access can be costly. It also helps with opportunities for knowledge translation, for going to conferences, and the list goes on and on. So I am here today wrapping up the series, and I do hope that you found it super helpful. It was really something that I had thought and planned many months ago before anything started happening with the pandemic. And I would say I really tried to make it valuable and insightful considering the context and the circumstances that we are living in. If you have any comments, if you feel that one of these areas that we have been covering in the past weeks is kind of missing important pieces that I might have just breezed through or not covered, feel free to send an email to info@qualiq.ca or post a comment below this video or post a comment on the website, whatever you read the blog post that you have a question about, and I'll come back to this. For now, this is all I had to share about research proposals, and I hope you really enjoyed the last few weeks. Starting next week, we'll go kind of not back to regular content, but we'll kind of like step out of proposal writing, and I'll be sharing some exciting news with QualiQ as well, and some courses that will be coming down the pipe in the next few months. So have a good day, and if you have any questions, I will be checking the comments. I don't see any questions, but sometimes where things go, let me see. No. So if you have any questions, I don't see any comments, but if you do, just send them my way and I'll be happy to answer them. So have a good day, have a good week. I hope you stay healthy and just keep working and moving through whatever you have in your on your plate and in your life right now. So take care, everyone. Bye bye.